Imagine this, you're 10 years old and you just caught a Zubat in Mount Moon. You grind it, you love it, your Golbat's friendship is maxed. It levels up, the evolution screen starts, the music plays, and then evolution canceled. No Crobat for you. And the game will taunt you with this every single level up until you beat the entire Elite Four. That's just one of the weird things about Pokemon FireRed and LeafGreen games that are officially coming back to Nintendo Switch on February 27th for Pokemon Day. And whether you're a day one vet or you've never touched these games before, I guarantee there are things in here that are gonna surprise you. This is 15 things that you need to know about Pokemon FireRed LeafGreen. If you guys are excited for Pokemon Day 2026, 30th anniversary, make sure you guys hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. I'm gonna be live streaming the event right here on Pokemon Day, so don't you miss out. It is gonna be crazy, and we're gonna have a blast seeing the Gen 10 starter reveal. But first, let's talk about FireRed LeafGreen, the things that you need to know about what we're actually getting. Nintendo announced on February 20th that FireRed LeafGreen are coming to the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 as digital-only titles, launching February 27th on Pokemon Day, right after the Pokemon Presents presentation. Each version costs $19.99 and is sold separately, and here's something that tripped people up. They're also sold separately by language. English, French, and Spanish have their own listings, so make sure you're buying the right one. Now, what's new? Local wireless co-op replaces the old link cable for trading and battling. Pokemon Home support is confirmed as coming soon, meaning you'll eventually be able to transfer your Kanto catches into the modern ecosystem. But notably, there is no online play, local wireless only. Definitely had some people upset about that one. And one big thing Game Informer pointed out is the fact that they're announcing this a full week before the Pokemon Presents is interesting. Usually this would be shadow drop during the show. That might mean they need the Presents airtime for something bigger. Gen 10 most likely. Starter reveal is definitely happening. Okay, so I teased this in the intro, but let me fully explain because this is gonna frustrate a lot of new players. FireRed and LeafGreen lock all post-Gen 1 evolutions behind the National Pokedex. That means until you beat the Elite Four and have caught at least 60 Pokemon, certain Pokemon cannot evolve, even if they've met every other condition. Golbat is the poster child. You max its friendship, it levels up, the evolution animation starts, the music plays, and then the game just goes question mark and cancels it every single time it levels up. It's borderline trolling, but Golbat isn't alone. Chansey can't become Blissey, Seadra can't become Kingdra, Scyther can't become Scizor, Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff. You can't breed for baby Pokemon until you have the National Pokedex, so for your main story playthrough, you're locked to Gen 1 evolutions only. Pro tip for anyone about to play, if you're raising a Golbat, you should just give it an Everstone until post-game, so you don't have to deal with this 40 times. Okay, so this one is actually wild. In FireRed LeafGreen, it is literally impossible to evolve Eevee into Espeon or Umbreon. Not difficult, not post-game, it's completely impossible. Why? Well, because Espeon and Umbreon require time of day evolution. Espeon during the day, Umbreon at night, but FireRed and LeafGreen have no internal clock. There's no day-night cycle whatsoever. The game has no concept of what time actually is. So even with max friendship, even post-National Dex, Eevee can only evolve via stones in this game to Vaporeon, Jolteon, or Flareon, period. The only way to get Espeon and Umbreon was to trade your Eevee to Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, evolve it there, and then trade it back. Whether that changes on the Switch version remains to be seen, but as far as the original game goes, the two evolutions are simply off the table. And Umbreon is one of my favorite Pokemon. I know I'm not alone in that, and not being able to get it in this game would be very sad. I'm optimistic that they're gonna update it, but don't hold your breath. Here's something a lot of people don't realize. Your starter Pokemon determines which legendary beast roams Kanto in the post-game. After completing the Sevi Islands quest to fix the network machine, one of the Johto legendary beasts starts roaming the tall grass of Kanto. Which one? It's always the one with the type advantage over your starter. Pick Bulbasaur, you get Entei, Squirtle, Raikou, Charmander. You're going after Suicune. And here's a critical warning. There's an infamous glitch. If the roaming beast uses the move Roar on you during battle, it doesn't just flee, it disappears. Permanently gone from the game forever. You will never encounter it again, so if you're hunting one of these beasts, bring a Pokemon with Mean Look or a trapping ability and do not let it use Roar. Every kid in the late 90s heard the rumor on the playground. There is a truck near the SS Anne. If you use Strength on it, you can find Mew. It was the playground rumor of an entire generation, and it was of course completely false. But here's the thing, Game Freak was absolutely aware of the legend. And when they made FireRed and LeafGreen, they put the truck back in, same spot, same mysterious truck, just sitting on the dock. And this time, there's actually something underneath, a lava cookie. That's it, a lava cookie. Game Freak basically winked at an entire generation of fans and said, we know, here's a consolation prize. The truck Easter egg has continued in later games too, including Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. It's one of those beautiful details that shows Game Freak does pay attention to online community culture, but I still think they should throw a Mew under the truck in this game, so hopefully there are some updates. So this one I didn't know, and I don't think like 90% of you guys probably knew this one. In FireRed and LeafGreen, if you use the item finder on the exact tile where an important character or Pokemon was standing, you'll find rare hidden items. And these are the items that you cannot get any other way. The 2 sleeping Snorlax that block routes 12 and 16. After you wake them up or catch them and defeat them, use the item finder right where they were. You'll find leftovers, one of the best competitive held items in the game. 2 Snorlax, 2 leftovers. Beat Giovanni in the Viridian City Gym. Go back and use the item finder where he was standing. Macho Brace, a key item for Eevee training. Remember Mr. Fuji in the Pokemon Tower? After you rescue him, go back to the spot where he was being held and use the item finder. Soothe Bell, which boosts friendship gain, making those happiness evolutions way faster. The game never tells you about any of this, it's just pure hidden reward for the curious. Here's a piece of Pokemon history that gets overlooked. FireRed and LeafGreen shipped with the Game Boy Advance wireless adapter, making them the first Pokemon games and one of the first handheld games, period, to support wireless multiplayer. Before this, every single trade and battle required a physical link cable connecting 2 Game Boys together. FireRed LeafGreen changed that. You could trade, battle, and even play minigames wirelessly for the first time. The wireless adapter also enabled the Union Room, a virtual lobby where you could see other nearby players walking around and interact with them. For 2004, this was revolutionary. Only one other Pokemon game was compatible with the wireless adapter, Emerald. Now on Switch, that wireless functionality becomes local wireless between Switch consoles, keeping the spirit alive without needing to change the old hardware. Let me ask you something. When you played FireRed or LeafGreen, did you actually explore the Sevi Islands? Like, really explore them? I honestly didn't. Because this is arguably the most underrated post-game content in any Pokemon game. The Sevi Islands are a 7-island archipelago, south of Kanto, that was brand new to the remakes and not present in the originals, and they're packed with content. You can find Johto Pokemon here that don't exist anywhere in Ruby, Sapphire, or Emerald. Things like Larvitar, Skarmory, and Houndour. These islands were the only way to get certain Pokemon in Gen 3 without Colosseum or XD. There's an entire Team Rocket subplot in the post-game where you have to go recover the Ruby and Sapphire artifacts. There's a breeding center on 4 Island, and there's the trainer tower on 7 Island. And the story actually explains where Lorelei disappears to after you beat the Elite Four for the first time. She goes home to 4 Island. And one more thing, on 6 Island, there's a place called Pattern Bush. The layout of this area is designed to resemble a circuit board. Specifically, it's based on the circuit board from the original Game Boy cartridge. A subtle Easter egg from the developers tucked away in an area where most players never visit. Okay, so this one is incredible. If you played an early emulated ROM of FireRed and LeafGreen, there was a special surprise waiting for you. An NPC standing outside the Sea Gallop ferry terminal would say, and I quote, "By the way, if you like this game, buy it or die." Buy it or die? Buy it or die from Nintendo, the family-friendly company just casually threatening pirates with death in a Pokemon game. But this message was only present in early ROM dumps, and it seems like it might be in question of its legitimacy, but it was eventually removed from later versions. But the fact that it existed as all is pretty legendary. Modern ROM replicas of the original game so perfectly that the message doesn't trigger anymore, but back in 2004, Nintendo was not playing around. Here's the secret that requires insane dedication to discover. Elite Four member Lorelei has a house on 4 Island, and inside you can see she collects Pokemon dolls. What most people don't know is that her doll collection grows based on how many times you beat the Elite Four. Every 25 victories, she adds a new doll to her collection, up to a maximum of 8 dolls. That means to see her full collection, you have to defeat the Elite Four 200 times. Who even discovered this? I have no idea, but it's one of the most obscure secrets in any Pokemon game. FireRed LeafGreen was the first time you could play as a female character in Kanto, but here's a detail that almost nobody caught. Right at the start of your game, there's a TV in your bedroom playing a movie. What movie is playing actually changes depending on whether or not you choose the male or female protagonist. Pick the boy, and the TV describes an action movie with a boy on an adventure. Pick the girl, it describes a different movie about a girl on a Pokemon journey. It's a tiny detail that shows the devs were thinking about personalization right from the opening seconds of the game. I'm honestly loving learning about all these details because it's such great inspiration. On Route 24 Nugget Bridge, you fight 5 trainers in a row, and then you encounter a Team Rocket grunt who gives you a nugget as a reward before battling you. Unfortunately, you cannot join Team Rocket, although I think players would lose their mind if they added that in. Here's a glitch. If you lose to Team Rocket grunt, you get to keep the nugget. You respawn at the Pokemon Center with the nugget in your bag, and when you go back, he's there still, and he'll give you another nugget to fight again. In the original games, nuggets sell for 5,000 Pokédollars, so you could theoretically farm infinite money by losing to this guy over and over again. It's kind of janky, but it works. Most people know you can rematch the Elite Four, but what a lot of players don't realize is that after you complete the Sevi Islands quest and get the national dex, the Elite Four's teams completely change. They don't just get to higher levels, they get entirely new Pokemon from Gen 2. Lorelei brings Piloswine, Bruno has Steelix, Agatha adds Mischievous, while Elaine shows up with a Kingdra. Your champion rival gets upgraded too, and with a much more diverse and powerful team. This effectively gives you a round 2 Elite Four challenge that genuinely feels different from the first time. It's basically a hard mode built into the post game that many players never even realize exists because they never go back. This is something competitive and collector-focused fans already know, but it's worth highlighting because it matters for the Switch version too. FireRed and LeafGreen were critical bridge games. Ruby and Sapphire infamously cut all backwards compatibility with Gen 1 and 2, and you simply couldn't transfer Pokemon from Gold, Silver, Crystal, Red, Blue, or Yellow. Hundreds of Pokemon were simply unobtainable. FireRed LeafGreen fixed that by making Kanto and Johto Pokemon available in the Gen 3 ecosystem for the first time. Combined with Colosseum, XD, and Emerald, you can finally complete the National Pokemon Dex. But here's the kicker. FireRed LeafGreen couldn't trade with Ruby and Sapphire right away. You had to complete the entire Sevi Islands post-game quests, find the Ruby and Sapphire artifacts, and deliver them to Celio. Then cross-game trading unlocked. Your game made you earn connectivity. With Pokemon Home support coming in the Switch version, FireRed LeafGreen might once again serve as a bridge at the time, letting players get their original Kanto Pokemon into the modern Switch ecosystem. And we already talked about this with Deoxys, right? There could very well be a Deoxys event that players can obtain, and maybe shiny Deoxys, which would be pretty crazy. Okay, final one, and this is developer lore. A lot of Western fans wondered, why Leaf Green? We got red and blue. Shouldn't the counterpart to Fire Red be water blue? Game director Junichi Masuda actually explained this. In Japan, the original games were red and green. Blue came as a later updated version, so the remakes went back to the original Japanese pairing. But Masuda also said he specifically chose leaf as the motif because a leaf represents peace and nature, a calming counterpart to fire. He felt water would just be another conflict element, fire versus water, and he wanted the pairing to feel more balanced and harmonious. And one more cool thing, when you beat the game and the credits roll, the sprites of Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, and Pikachu shift poses to match their original artwork from the Japanese red, green, blue, and yellow box art. It's a beautiful send-off that connects the remake back to where everything began in '96. And there you have it, a full breakdown on FireRed LeafGreen, everything you need to know, all those secrets as you head into the launch on Pokemon Day. Don't forget, we're gonna have our launch party right here on the live stream, so make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. We're gonna throw down a big way, see Pokemon Day. We've got 25-minute presentation coming, and very likely the Generation 10 starters, so get excited for that. And then we'll be hopping into some FireRed LeafGreen.